in the heart of Zimbabwe, in its capital, the best city, in the heart of Africa, two young men found friendship in the most unexpected way. Chef was a quietly happy guy, the kind of person who found joy in the little things: good food, good music, and a moment of peace after a long day. At 26, he carried himself with a laid-back energy, never in a rush, always content to let life unfold at its own pace. Shashaboy, on the other hand, was a year older at 27 and had a wilder spirit. With a tattoo stretching across his forearm, a backward cap, and an ever-present necklace, he moved through life like a flame, restless, energetic, always looking for the next spark. Despite their differences, the two had formed an easy friendship over the past 3 months, drawn together by their shared love for late-night conversations and the occasional rooftop smoke. One evening, they decided to sneak up to the rooftop of a nearby building to smoke some weed. As they climbed the stairs, Chef turned to Shashaboy and said, "Man, I need this. I've been stressed out all week." Shashaboy nodded in agreement. "I feel you, bro. A little weed will help us relax." They reached the rooftop and sat down on a ledge, taking in the view of the city below. The city lights flickered like tiny fireflies, and the hum of distant traffic felt like a song they had both heard before but couldn't quite place. Chef pulled out a joint and lit it up, taking a long drag before passing it to Shashaboy. The smoke curled into the night air, dancing in slow motion before disappearing into the darkness. As they smoked, they chatted about everything from music to sports to their personal lives. But as the high crept up on them, their conversation began to stretch and twist in ways that only made sense in the moment. Words felt heavier, laughter echoed longer, and time itself seemed to lose its grip. After a while, Shashaboy turned to Chef and said, "Man, life is like beans." His voice sounded both profound and hilarious to his own ears, and he immediately started giggling. Chef looked at him quizzically, his eyes half-lidded and glowing with amusement. "Beans? What do you mean?" Shashaboy shrugged, struggling to put his thoughts into words. "I don't know, man. It just seems like life is all about trying to find the right balance. You know?" Chef chuckled, shaking his head. "That's deep, my man." But then he stared into the distance for a moment, as if the whole universe had just whispered a secret into his ear. His face lit up with realization. "You know what? Life is like a very hot beans." Shashaboy burst out laughing, doubling over as he clutched his stomach. "A very hot beans? What's that supposed to mean?" Chef grinned mischievously, his mind now running on a wavelength that only made sense under the influence. "It means that life is hot, man. It's unpredictable and it can burn you at any moment." He waved his hands for emphasis, as if trying to physically shape the idea in the air. Shashaboy nodded dramatically, still chuckling. "I feel you. Bro, life can definitely be hot sometimes." The two friends sat in silence for a moment, completely absorbed in their high. The city below them looked surreal, as if every building was breathing, every streetlight pulsing like a heartbeat. The stars above seemed to stretch and swirl, rearranging themselves in patterns that felt almost like a secret message. Then Shashaboy turned to Chef and said, "You know, my man, sometimes I think we're just a couple of beans in a big pot." Chef gasped as if this was the most mind-blowing revelation he had ever heard. He placed a hand on Shashaboy's shoulder, looking him in the eyes with exaggerated seriousness. "Bro, that's it. That's the truth right there." Shashaboy exhaled slowly, nodding. "The big pot, man. Life is just one giant stew." Chef nodded back, both of them completely lost in the metaphor. The weight of their words settled over them like a warm blanket, and for a moment, everything made perfect sense. As they sat there, Chef realized that sometimes the simplest conversations can be the most profound, or at least feel that way when you're ridiculously high. And as they finished their weed and headed back down to the streets, Shashaboy smirked. "Life be like beans." Chef nodded, grinning. "Very hot beans, my brother." And with that, they wandered back into the city, still laughing at a joke that no one else would ever understand.